Titanic disaster. And this is where it all begins, with a ship people believed could never sink. The RMS Titanic wasn't just a ship, it was a statement. Pure luxury, cutting-edge engineering, and a reputation stamped with one dangerous word: unsinkable. Over 2,200 people stepped on board thinking they were part of history's safest voyage. But here's the problem. Confidence replaced caution. There weren't enough lifeboats, not even close. Legally, sure, but realistically, a disaster waiting to happen. 4 days into the journey, in the freezing silence of the Atlantic, a lookout spots it, an iceberg, dead ahead. Now imagine that moment. No alarms blaring like in movies, just a realization, and then impact. The ship tries to turn, but it's too late. The iceberg tears into the hull below the waterline, and at first, it doesn't even feel catastrophic. That's what makes it worse. Time slips away. Distress signals go out, but help is hours away. Meanwhile, panic slowly replaces denial. Lifeboats are launched, but here's the part that still feels unreal. Many of them leave half empty, while over 1,000 people are still on board. Within less than 3 hours, the unsinkable ship breaks apart and disappears into the ocean. Over 1,500 people are left in freezing water with no chance of survival. And when the rescue ship RMS Carpathia finally arrives, it's not a rescue scene. It's a graveyard of silence, debris, and a few hundred survivors. But this tragedy didn't just end there. It forced the world to wake up. Maritime laws changed. Lifeboat rules were rewritten. And the International Ice Patrol was created to prevent something like this from ever happening again. Because in the end, Titanic proved one brutal truth. Overconfidence doesn't just fail, it kills. Pompeii destruction. And just when you think disasters give warnings, this one did, but no one listened. Pompeii was alive, busy streets, wealthy villas, markets buzzing. It was basically a vacation city for Rome's elite. Life felt stable, predictable, but beneath it all, something was building. Small tremors shook the ground from time to time. Nothing unusual. People ignored them. Just another part of life. And that's exactly what made it so dangerous. Then in 79 AD, everything changed. Mount Vesuvius erupted with a force no one was prepared for. A massive column of ash and gas shot miles into the sky, blocking out the sun. The day turned into darkness. At first, it was ash falling from above. Heavy, suffocating, roofs collapsing, people running, confused, desperate. But the real horror hadn't even arrived yet. Pyroclastic surges, superheated waves of gas and debris, rushed down the mountain at terrifying speeds. No escape, no warning, just instant destruction. People didn't just die, they were frozen in their final moments. Think about that. Entire families, mid-action, gone in seconds. The city was buried under layers of volcanic material, completely erased. And then, silence. For nearly 1,700 years, Pompeii stayed hidden, preserved, forgotten, until it was rediscovered. And what did they find? It wasn't just ruins. It was a snapshot of life paused at the exact moment disaster struck. Pompeii didn't just show destruction. It showed how fast everything can end when nature decides it's time. Great Irish Famine. But not all tragedies happen in a single moment. Some drag on, slowly breaking people over years. In 19th century Ireland, the potato wasn't just food, it was survival. Millions depended on it every single day. Now imagine that entire system collapsing. In 1845, a disease called Phytophthora infestans hit the crops. At first, it didn't seem like the end, but then the potatoes started rotting, turning into black sludge. And just like that, the main food source of an entire population was gone. The first year wiped out nearly half the crops. Next year, even worse. Starvation spreads fast. But here's where it gets even harder to process. Ireland was still producing other food, grain, livestock. It just wasn't staying in Ireland. Much of it was being exported to Great Britain, even as people starved. Families who couldn't pay rent were evicted, thrown out with nothing. Relief efforts existed, but they were nowhere near enough. So now you've got hunger, turning into disease, typhus, cholera, weak bodies with no resistance. And then came the Exodus. Millions tried to escape, packed into overcrowded ships, many of them already sick. Some didn't even survive the journey. By 1852, Ireland had lost about 25% of its population. Let that sink in. A quarter of an entire nation gone. And this wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a crisis made worse, much worse, by human decisions. So the real question is, could this have been prevented? Because sometimes the tragedy isn't just what happens, it's what people choose to ignore. 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. And just when everything looked calm, the ocean itself turned into a weapon. Deep beneath the sea, a massive 9.1 magnitude earthquake ripped the ocean floor apart. No one on the surface saw it coming. The first sign? The water pulled back, farther than anyone had ever seen. People walked onto the exposed seabed, not realizing what was seconds away. Then the waves came. Not normal waves, walls of water, crashing into 14 countries across the Indian Ocean. Entire towns vanished. Roads, buildings, communication, gone in minutes. Over 230,000 lives lost. And the hardest part? There was no warning system. That changed everything. Global relief poured in and tsunami alerts became a priority worldwide. Because this disaster proved one thing: when preparation is missing, nature doesn't forgive. Trail of Tears. And this next one wasn't nature, it was policy. Native American nations weren't just surviving, they had structured societies, cultures, and even written laws. But none of that protected them from one decision. In 1830, the Indian Removal Act was signed, and just like that, thousands were forced off their land. Families were marched over 1,000 miles to unfamiliar territory. No proper food, no shelter, brutal winters, scorching heat. People didn't just struggle, they died along the way, thousands of them. Imagine being forced to leave everything behind, knowing many won't survive the journey. By the end, entire communities were broken, cultures scattered. This wasn't an accident, it was a choice. And it shows how power, when misused, can turn human lives into casualties of policy. Atlantic slave trade. Now this part, it's uncomfortable, but it's history that shaped the modern world. For centuries, European powers needed labor for their colonies, and instead of building systems, they built a trade in human lives. Millions of Africans were captured, sold, and transported across the Atlantic. The journey itself, the Middle Passage, was pure horror. People packed tightly, chained, barely able to move. No sanitation, little food. Violence was constant. Some didn't even make it. Around 2 million died before reaching land. Those who survived were sold like property, forced into labor on plantations. In total, about 12.5 million people were enslaved. Think about that scale. And the impact? It didn't end there. It shaped economies, societies, and racial inequalities that still exist today. This wasn't just exploitation, it was systematic dehumanization at its worst. September 11th, attacks. And then comes a moment most people alive today still remember. September 11th, 2001. A normal morning until it wasn't. 4 planes were hijacked. The first slammed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Then the second hit the South Tower. And suddenly, the world knew. This was no accident. Another plane struck the Pentagon, but the fourth one? Something different happened. Passengers fought back. Flight 93 crashed before reaching its target, likely saving countless lives. Meanwhile, both towers collapsed, turning New York into chaos and dust. 2,977 people were killed. And just like that, the world changed. Security tightened. Wars began. The war on terror reshaped global politics. Because this wasn't just an attack, it redefined what safety even means. Bhopal disaster. And this one hits differently, because it didn't happen in seconds. It happened because warnings were ignored. In 1984, a pesticide plant in Bhopal stored a deadly chemical, MIC gas. But safety systems? Neglected. Some were even shut down to cut costs. Then one night, water entered a tank. A reaction began. Pressure built, and suddenly toxic gas leaked into the air. It spread silently over the sleeping city. People woke up coughing, their eyes burning, lungs failing. Panic everywhere. Thousands died within hours, and it didn't stop there. Survivors suffered for years. Chronic illness, birth defects, long-term damage. Legal battles followed, but justice still debated. Because this tragedy showed something chilling. When a profit overrides safety, the cost is human life. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And just when war couldn't get any worse, humanity changed warfare forever. World War II was dragging on, and the United States had one final move: the Manhattan Project, a weapon no one had ever seen before. In August 1945, Little Boy hit Hiroshima. Then Fat Man struck Nagasaki. In seconds, entire cities were erased. Firestorms swallowed everything, and those who survived faced radiation, slowly killing them from within. Within days, Japan surrendered, but this wasn't just the end of a war. It was the beginning of the nuclear age, a moment that proved technology doesn't just advance humanity, it can also destroy it completely. Armenian Genocide. And this next tragedy shows how fear can be turned into something far more dangerous. In the collapsing Ottoman Empire, tensions were rising. The Armenian minority was suddenly seen as a threat. In 1915, it began with arrests. Intellectuals, leaders, voices of the community. Then executions followed. But it didn't stop there. Entire populations were forced from their home and sent on death marches across harsh deserts. No food, no water, constant violence. People didn't just suffer, they were erased. By the end, around 1.5 million Armenians had died. This wasn't random violence, it was targeted. A brutal example of how identity itself can become a reason for destruction. Holodomor. And sometimes, the deadliest weapon isn't a bomb, it's hunger. In the Soviet Union, control over land became control over people. Farmers in Ukraine were forced into collectivization. Then came impossible grain quotas. When they couldn't meet them, everything was taken. Not just crops, all food. Villages were sealed. Escape was blocked. Now imagine knowing there's food somewhere, but you're not allowed to reach it. Millions starved. And the most chilling part? The government denied it was even happening. This wasn't just famine, it was engineered. A reminder that starvation can be used as a weapon, just as deadly as any war. Rwandan Genocide. And this one shows how fast a society can collapse when hate takes over. Rwanda had long-standing tensions between the Hutu and Tutsi communities. But it wasn't just tension, it was fueled. Radio broadcasts spread propaganda, turning neighbors into enemies. Then one event changed everything, the president's assassination. Within hours, violence exploded, roadblocks went up, identity cards checked, and suddenly, ordinary people became killers. For 100 days, the country descended into chaos. Around 800,000 people were murdered. And the world, it was mostly watched. This wasn't a slow build, it was a rapid turn into violence. Proof that when hate is organized, it doesn't take long to destroy everything. Holocaust. And then comes the darkest chapter of all, where cruelty became a system. In Nazi Germany, it started with ideology. Anti-Semitic laws slowly stripped Jewish people of rights, isolating them in ghettos. But that was just the beginning. Soon, millions were transported to camps, places designed not for survival, but for death. Gas chambers, forced labor, starvation. This wasn't chaos, it was organized, industrial, every detail planned for one purpose: extermination. By the end, 6 million Jews had been murdered, and when it was over, the world finally saw the scale of it, leading to the Nuremberg trials. Because this wasn't just genocide, it was a system built to erase entire people. Black Death. But long before modern wars, something invisible nearly wiped out half of Europe. The Black Death didn't arrive with armies. It traveled quietly along trade routes like the Silk Road. Carried by fleas on rats, it spread fast. Symptoms were terrifying: fever, pain, swollen lymph nodes, and then death, often within days. No one understood it. Fear took over. Society began to break. People abandoned families and communities collapsed. And within just a few years, 30 to 60% of Europe's population was gone. Think about that. But out of that devastation came change. Labor shortages shifted power, weakening old systems. A microscopic organism reshaped an entire civilization. Library of Alexandria. And finally, a different kind of loss. Not lives, but knowledge. In ancient Egypt, the Library of Alexandria was the center of human understanding. Scrolls from across the world, ideas, discoveries, all stored in one place. It wasn't just a library, it was history itself. But it didn't fall in one moment. Fires, wars, neglect, slowly, piece by piece, it disappeared. And with it, countless works of science, philosophy, and literature vanished forever. Think about what we might have lost. Ideas that could have changed history? Gone. Because this tragedy proves something different. Sometimes losing knowledge can set humanity back just as much as losing lives.